And we're live. Hello, Sir Rantalot is in the house. How's it going? My name is Johnny Brightich. I am a special visual effect artist and here in Atlanta, Georgia area, Fayetteville, kind of on the outskirts. And I'm a guy that's pretty opinionated, I would mean, needless to say. So, in the goodwill of friends, etc., and people that I know, here I go with the podcast. So let's do this podcast. Welcome to the very first one of its kind, from my end at least, and it's really cool. I went to school for film and editing like 227 years ago, and the technology is just freaking amazing. Everything from using OBS to using Audacity, and killer little camcorders that are this big that are just take incredible quality, and it's mind blowing. I'm usually in a special effects shop, 15 hours a day making molds and silicone and bodies and working on feature films and blah blah blah, and it's probably time to start talking lots more so that people can get a gist of who I am and what I do, and we're just going to touch a lot of topics. I mean, like for me personally, I've had the opportunity to do some really cool stuff. The last 30 years or so, I've had the opportunity to do a lot of cool stuff. A lot of people beat you down. If you're an artist, people will beat you down 24 hours a day, right? I played music. Get a real job, Johnny. I still play guitar, but Johnny, you're gonna become doing the movie industry. You're not gonna survive doing that. Get a real job, Johnny. Let's go with doing something better. Why don't you start cooking and stuff? I guess what I did. I started cooking. I had a plan B, and plan B was I became an executive chef. I didn't go to school for any of it. I worked with some incredible chefs, and when I wasn't being creative and I wasn't doing, nut stuff, I guess you could say, I was in the kitchen for 15 hours a day. As life went on, I actually became a corporate executive chef, and 40 restaurants later, everything from P&L to builds and the whole nine yards, I really did a hard transition over back to special effects full time. What do I mean by back? Well, when I first started out, I moved from Miami, Florida. Miami, the house. Moved to from Miami, Florida to St. Petersburg. I was young, about 20 some years old. I moved there. I opened this small little special effect group called Creative Anatomy. And you want to hear a really cool story? Let me have some mental illness here and go to another split personality scenario. A guy by the name of Ken Kubicki, as I was working at a restaurant, I used to stay open for him all the time, and he asked me one day, he says to me, "Hey, Johnny, what's your real passion, man?" He goes, "You're very creative. Is this what you really do?" And I said, "No, Ken, how do you know that?" And he says to me, "Hey, man, I know my own." I said, "What do you do?" He goes, "I'm a headhunter, and but I used to be an artist myself, and for my whole life, but I had to make money, etc. But he says, I see something in you and a passion to creative that I don't see in many people." He goes, "What do you do?" So we sat there. It was like 11 o'clock at night. The restaurant was closed. We sat at the bar for a while. The owners were really cool. They allowed it. And we had an extensive conversation in regards to doing makeup and film and special effects and creatures and props and the whole nine yards. And I told him that I specifically moved to that area to move to Orlando. Universal was just starting in the early 90s. Right, 91, 92, all those things were starting to veer its face, and I wanted some of that. I wanted to work on that. I knew the film industry in Florida is a fucking joke, so I decided, well, I'm going to work at themes parks and making cool stuff. So I moved over there. Like I said, I moved to St. Petersburg, Florida, and I would try to get jobs all the time. I'd transition back and forth and whatever, trying to get jobs. But after my wonderful conversation with Ken Ken says to me, he says, "Cool, John." He goes, "Will you be here tomorrow?" And I said, "Yeah, man. I'm in the restaurant industry. I live here, you know." And he says, "I'll see you tomorrow." And about 10:15, his office was literally across the street from where I worked. And he walked into the restaurant, and he says to me, and there was nobody in the restaurant, and it was like 2 or 3 people. He hands me a set of keys and gives me a crazy amount of money. It was around 50 grand. And he said, "Set up your shop, get it going, make it happen." And at first I wanted to punch the guy because I thought, wow, this is a pretty fucking mean joke. You know what I mean? But it wasn't a joke. I took the keys, and the next day I went to the studio warehouse that was 20 minutes up the road. It was 1,800 square feet, and I put my key in, and I turned it, and that was it. My whole world changed. And I went on to work, and I got a couple of killer guys that work with me. Some of them wanted to become independent filmmakers, etc. And we started doing jobs. And our first job was Warner Brothers Studios. And we started doing stuff for Disney. And then we started doing a bunch of cool stuff. And everything was awesome. And it was going great. And then there's the cliffhanger. I had to walk away from all of it in the blink of an eye, because certain individuals were involved in strange and unwilling, let's just put it this way, we were involved in some really fucked up shit, all right? And I had to literally walk away from that. It sucked. But I had plan B, right? Go back to the restaurant world. Special effects, like working in the world of effects and movies and films, it's not consistent. I've been doing it for many years now, and we'll get into it, but it's really just not a consistent beast. And it's just something that you need to have, part 2 of your life to fall back on. So anyway, I got really good at the restaurant scenario. I started working in Southwestern places. I started working with incredible chefs and incredible restaurateurs. Taught me the business end of it. My grandmother had a plethora of children, and like 12 kids. It was incredible. Everybody could cook on my father's side, which my grandmother had 12 kids. And my mom is from Puerto Rico, and she came here when she was 5. She's American. And my mom's side, they could cook incredible Spanish food. And so I grew up in the kitchen. I had no choice. One time my grandmother told me when I was little, "You want to eat? Then you better learn to cook." That's were her exact words. And I was like, yeah, I was like 6 or 7. Can't tell you what happened yesterday, but I can remember those kinds of things. So I had this food bug in me, and I took that hyper creativity that it was to be a chef. And a creative mind, and I took the food element. I had just learned from so many people, like I was saying, Southwesterns, Italian, Cuban food. I can go down the line of all the ethnic things. And what happened is I took my creative part of my brain, what was artistic, and I appeased myself until I reached my goal again in my life. And I took the art part and I put the food part together, and I started making pretty different and interesting foods, needless to say. Went on to open a bunch of restaurants, a bunch of places, everything from scratch, write the menu, train the staff, get the equipment, blah, blah, blah. So I really became a consultant. And as time progressed, I had got married, and my wife is killer. She's awesome. Love her to death. And no, she's not watching. I'll pay me later, baby, for that. Anyway, so I found her she was from Canada, met her at a horror convention, got married to her, was just to this day, 10 years later, just the most amazing girl I've ever met in my life. She's phenomenal. Love her to death, my pillar, man, And I was, she moved to St. Petersburg with me. She came years, I'm talking like 9 years ago. She came from Canada, relocated, and we lived together, and I worked my ass off as always, and she saw how hard I pushed and how hard I pushed. And I would be working a restaurant, and then I would go in and then consult I would leave, work 10-hour days, and then put 4 or 5 hours into a consulting job. And that finally allowed me to transition between consulting to building, what have you, restaurants, etc. And then we saw Georgia was exploding with the film industry. And I could never afford to move to LA. When I was 18, I was going to go to LA and work there, man, and work in the shop. And that shit didn't happen. I got married young. My first wife, I got married really young and really fucked my life off. So anybody out there that's really young, establish yourself first and don't fuck your life up with getting married until you're established. I know love is love, but what's another show? So we went on. So I went on to see. I was watching TV every day, just getting frustrated, because I was doing like special. I would work, and then when I had a little time, I had a shop. I had a studio out there in Florida as well, a small little studio, and I would just teach classes. So I didn't lose my love and passion for what it is that I really wanted to do in life. And as the time progressed and things went by, it went by like a mud blanket. It was terrible. You're working so much, you're pushing, you're trying, and you get burned out. You know what I mean? I think everybody that has a passion and desire, we push sometimes. The people that really want it, they push to the point of delirium. And I really had like no days off, and blah blah blah. I'm here crying about it right now, but it's all right. That's what I do, right? And we were watching an episode of Stranger Things, and I was like, wow, this show is awesome, and I wonder how, who's doing, where do they shoot this? And then all of a sudden I started really researching. I was like, okay, they're shooting Stranger Things there in Georgia. They're shooting Stranger Things there. Why am I not there trying at least to get in there? And then I went on to really realize that the whole state was exploding. And I got into the underground. I started talking to people online 4 or 5 years ago. And they started telling me, dude, you need to be here. You need to be here. You need to be here. You'll be working. You'll be working. You'll be working. So I moved out here. And I was here for 3 months. And I met a killer guy by the name of Robert Kurtzman, legendary special effect artist. Got lucky, went to an IMATS event here in Georgia, and sure enough, I met him there. We started talking. One thing led to another. A couple days later, he says to me, "Hey Johnny, how would you like to work on The Haunting of Hill House? It's only for a couple of weeks." Well, I said, "Well, holy shit, The Haunting of Hill House? Are you kidding me? I've never worked on a TV show before, even if it's for 2 weeks. Are you kidding? I did it. Yeah, I came to Georgia and shit's gonna happen." I was going to work for 2 weeks on that show, and I ended up on there for 9 months. Met awesome people. Met a guy named Greg McDougal, a good friend of mine, ridiculous special effect artist. Met wonderful people on the set. Worked our asses off. But when we were doing that, we were working on other movies. We did the movie Mall. We did the movie, oh my God, what was that? Centronic. We've done, Jay and Silent Bob reboot. We've done the new movie coming out with called Cherry. I can't wait to see it. It's with Tom Holland. And we did some crazy makeups on that show. And, Bob and I and Greg and really much were 3 of us. And we ended up doing like 14, 15, 16 films. And boom, the pandemic. We might as well have all bent over and let everybody just take a lick. Well, or a push. Because, wow. The industry out here gets punched in the face. Probably 40% of the people that I know don't have a job. 3, 4 months go into it. We're in June. Almost no one that I know works in the film industry right now. Most of them, some of them sold their kits. Some of them, I'm talking about veterans. And they sold their kits and they sold their stuff and they got rid of their stuff and they started working at Target. These are guys that are making $30, $40 an hour. And it died. And the ones that stuck it out, we're still here. And we're still swinging. So that brings me into Happy New Year, right? I had to tell you a little bit about myself. Who cares, right? Who cares about me? We'll talk a lot about me as time progresses. Who cares about me? I just want to talk about the things that are going on in the world. We're going to talk about food. We're going to talk about movies. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. We're going to talk about the stuff you want to talk about. You have something to talk about? Talk to me about it. Basically in this new year, what are you going to do? What are your plans? What are you going to do to to reinvent yourself. I mean, because there's really not a lot of industries that people as a whole didn't feel that impact, right? Who didn't feel that impact? Everybody felt that impact. People were getting, I don't have to tell you anything. Anybody out there that watches the news, they can know that it was pretty bad. And nothing's really changed yet. In a couple of weeks here, we're going to get a new president, thank God. Maybe a person that actually cares and gives a shit about the American people. That whole Nazi regime, I'm so happy they're going to leave. There's some good people in the Republican Party. Trust me, and I know it. And I have friends, and I love them to death, and they're Americans. But what we saw for the last 4 years was the demise of America. We watched, it says like the colors, these colors don't, are you kidding? Our colors ran into a mosaic of bullshit. But there are some strong new things coming our way. They're all fucking corrupt, let's be honest. Anyway, no politics. At least you know where I stand. We look, on this, like I say, on this podcast, we're going to talk about foods, and we're going to talk about movies, and we're going to talk about all kinds of madness. But I did just want to just give you kind of an introduction of who I am and what I am and what we do and what's going to happen here. Like I said, lots of things we're going to talk about. I look forward to hearing to what you guys are going to do in the new year. Are you still working in your industry? Have you been demoted? Have you been advanced? Have you reinvented yourself? Did you have to reinvent yourself or do something new to stay afloat? You know what I did? I transitioned to my special effect company that works on movies and gore and horrible things. And guess what we do now? Which kept us alive and saved us. We work in the medical industry. We're making trainers and simulators and military gore and whatever it is that they need. We produce this. We work for some pretty big hitters right now. And it allowed us with our skill sets to get those jobs very easily. We've been making stuff for the medical industry periodically on and off. We never saw it like really veer its face to where it could be a career scenario. But as of late, we've seen just a multitude of that industry explode. And when it comes to trainers and stuff. The stuff that was out there, though, holy shit, it looked like a third grader made it. So, just vinyl puppets, they look like big giant Barbie dolls that look terrible. And they're supposed to train medically on Barbie. So, our... like I say, my buddy Greg McDougall that works with me, the guy's a master sculptor. I got buddy Eric Meloranis. I've got a couple of special effect friends that are just, our skill sets are a little bit different. It usually takes 15 to 20 years to hone what we do. So when we step to the plates for these medical companies, they were more than happy to see and talk to us and give us work, which was something that we really we loved. Who doesn't love the money, right? Anyway, I just want to let you know, for any questions or comments after the show, you can hit me up. Oh, you guys can always hit me up and go ahead and comment below and let me know what you are thinking. And if you want to talk about something, we'll be going into chats here, live chats here pretty soon. Just filling out the market, needless to say, and see how everything goes. And if you're an asshole and you want to start being shitty and cunty and what have you, because there's a lot of assholes, just be cool, man. Just be cool. All right? Anyway, absolute pleasure to talk to everybody today. I keep looking down because these cool little buttons, you know what I mean? I'm using OBS, and it's I love it. I love it. I just want to make shows about everything now. But I do look forward to hearing your comments and your insight. But we're gonna start with, we're gonna review a couple movies next time. Most of these shows will probably be about right around 15 minutes. It depends on if we start chatting, we get into a heated conversation and weird stuff. You know how it is. But we're gonna try to keep them to 15 to 30 minutes at max. I look forward to. Like I say, I look forward to hearing what you guys got to say, what you guys want to talk about. Like I say, you heard me talk a lot about food and special effects, but we're going to talk about a lot of wonderful things. And I hope you guys have a killer new year and rock it. And all the people that stuck it out and got it done and keep getting it done. Rock and roll. Sir Rantalot out. See ya.